From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, They come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to geek out. They are the Council of the Blurs. Blurred powers unite. Engage. From the far corners of the fandom universe, representing film, comics, and anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and cosplay, they come together for one cause: to
about now? Because everything should be up right now.
We gotta wait because of the delay, so you gotta give me a second.
Okay.
Mm-mm. I also just realized that I'm not recording.
All right, we got sound. We got
Yep.
sound.
Now you're
Yeah,
good.
we got sound. I think what it probably was. Sorry about that, guys. I think it was my sound adjustment on actual Zoom. I think that's what it was. All right, so I think we should be good for right now.
Yeah. So just to give everybody a recap, we were just talking about Shanghai Disney, and some of the things that they were doing, to kind of basically, help with their social distancing practices with their opening. Basically, they're not opening certain they're not opening one of their hotels. They're limiting to 24,000 people daily. Um, they are they are not allowing close up photos with any characters. They're sanitizing and actual making, rides every other row to keep people distanced from each other. They're also doing temperature screenings, QR health codes, which basically in Shanghai, you have to have a code to basically say that you're healthy in order to be out and about. So they're scanning QR codes and providing the government issued identification in order to come out. So we were just going over some of what we were talking about, and what they thought about Shanghai. So I not because I forgot what you were saying, Kendrick. What exactly were you saying before?
This actually might work out for the better. I know is I think from a revenue standpoint is probably gonna hurt their numbers because they gotta basically let in a few people at a time. Whether it is a reservation, like it basically sounds like there's not going to be any type of just come in if you want to. Like
Yeah.
you have to you have to reserve your spot in order to come play here. But I think over time, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do as far as like their pricing is concerned. I don't imagine they're gonna keep the same things that they got right now. I imagine they're
Yeah.
gonna like go up to a degree, especially if we're talking about reservations here. If you have to, reserve your place at this park, then you have to play a pretty penny, and people will pay it. I mean, let's
Disney. Of course, people
Mm-hmm.
pay.
people don't pay it. They don't pay it no matter what. Um, I mean, like with everything else we've been discussing and we've been like analyzing throughout this whole pandemic, we're slowly realizing that there's just certain things, certain systems that you can put in place that work better than what we've been doing before. Like Tani said, like, and I've been there too. I've gone to theme parks or places where it's like the wait was like an hour, 2 hours if it's like something that's very popular. And I mean, either you're gonna have the patience to stand there and wait, or you're gonna try to do something else, until you really feel like coming back to it.
Yeah.
I can see. I mean, I know it seems like it's a lot, it's very extreme, but at this point right now, where we're at with a lot of things right now, we kind of have to do that because we never know.
Yeah. But you know what? Honestly, 3-hour wait times or longer was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
If you spend all day at a theme park, and we're talking about 10, 12 hours, if you waited 3 hours if you waited 3 hours to get on a ride, you only got on 3 or 4 rides.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, it would, a lot of these rides in Shanghai, what they were seeing is that, people were just getting on and off rides. So honestly, I think they'll be able to control that a little bit more. And they might be able to eventually kind of increase the amount of people that they're keeping going into the park by keeping them through time slots.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to keep people through a certain time slot, be able to clean between those people, to kind of get ready for the next wave of people,
Right.
that might work as well. Depending on, how much you're willing to pay to kind of get people kind of moving in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing Disney is doing right now, and this is just Disney Orlando. I'm not sure about anywhere else, Disneyland itself, but Disney Orlando is also opening up their Disney Springs. They're not opening up their parks yet, but they are opening up Disney Springs, which is basically just like, their restaurant area. Like it's more like a social area in a sense. With the same kind of things, but they're requiring the guest employees to wear masks. But the difference is that they're actually using the plexiglass dividers at the registers, and there's no cash being handled in the parks. So everything has to be done by card, which is the big difference, for a lot of people. Like, there's a lot of people who don't like carrying cards. I'm the opposite. I don't like carrying cash. But they're going to be definitely, doing the same exact type of thing. So it's interesting to see that Disney's kind of implementing them slowly into their own parks, or into their main parks rather. But it'll be interesting how they go forward with the rest of their parks, to see if they kind of keep up the same momentum, because especially places like Disney World, it's a lot of area to cover, especially like Magic Kingdom and things of that nature. It's a huge park.
Right.
Let me just see here. And also, speaking about Orlando as well, Universal is doing the same exact thing with their City Walk as well. But their restaurants that they're opening, it's a couple weird things that the Universal is doing. I think it's a little strange. Like when they're taking the temperature, they're basically saying if your temperature reads over 104, you need to go home. 100.4, you need to go home. I think 100 is a little bit high.
Yeah, you shouldn't be out with that temperature anyway.
Yeah, it's a little high.
Who's doing this?
I mean, and I'm guessing they're kind of accounting for the fact that it's Florida, so your body temperature is gonna get a little higher anyway.
Yeah.
But that's kind of high. But they're full service restaurants, so they're limited to like their pretzels, their Onions pretzels, their bubblegum shrimp, Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, the Red Oven Pizza, and their Voodoo Donut Place. They're all opening, but they're all opening with limited menus.
Okay.
So, which I think is great because it keeps people from kind of sitting there waiting, or kind of holding up, the line or the food for everybody else.
Right.
Which I think is great. And they also imagine limited seating as well. So they're pretty much not allowing everybody to come in and sit. But a place like Margaritaville, for instance, you have outside and indoor seating. So that'll be interesting to watch and see how they do that as well. And they're just keeping their shopping venues open, but they're, again, limited access. So, so any merchandise cards, anything, if you want to just go buy merch, you can do that. Same thing with Orlando, I'm sorry, the Disney World with the when you go to their Disney Springs, you can go buy merch from there. So if you really want to have somebody who missed their trip or anything like that, it's a good thing. If you live in Florida, they'd be like, hey, you know what? Let me go out here and buy this stuff for you guys, so you guys can have it.
Right.
But the nightclubs are still closed, the movie theater is still closed, the Blue Man Group is still closed, and the parks are still closed. So they're not planning on opening those anytime soon. Which is surprising because Florida, is pretty much opening up their doors again.
Yeah.
They barely closed them.
Yeah, but really, if we're gonna be real, they barely closed daggone doors. Like Florida is a whole other planet. Is what I've learned living down there. It's like a whole another planet. But just continuing to go forward. Just even thinking about the minimizing the access to the public of coming in places. I think eventually people are going to find out that's probably something they should have. I mean, I guess they couldn't do it before, is because money's money.
They could have, but they're trying to pack the place and make as much money as possible.
Right. Now a lot of business tactics are going to have to change, especially in the realm of theme parks. I mean, when summer rolls around and people are out of school, there's going to be a lot of things that they're going to want to do. I don't know how much travel people are going to be allowed to do. Like, if you live in Florida, you're going to be all right. for the most part.
I mean, travel's not restricted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of airlines are still flying people.
Travel's not restricted right now. I don't think they ever really got restricted except for the temporary travel ban. But people are just not traveling. There was never really a mandate saying that we couldn't travel
because it wasn't anything to do. To be honest, if you think about it, if I'm going to travel to Florida, what would I do in Florida? Go to the beach? I can go to I hate to say it, I can go to the shore here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go all the way to Florida to go to the shore. It was like same thing with Vegas. I'm not gonna go all the way to Vegas and go to Vegas. I can't even gamble.
Yep. Yeah. I've been gambling from my couch.
So, that's one of the downsides to the whole travel ban is that not travel, but like people are doing their own self-assessments. Like if I go here, what reason do I have to be here? What do I have to do? What is it in there for me?
Right.
And with a lot of people's travel plans already being readjusted and things of that nature, what was the purpose?
Yeah. Unless you're visiting family, there really was no reason to travel because hotels were closed, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So where were you going to stay? A lot of people pulled their Airbnb listings.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people did that, especially like you said, even with Disney and Universal, their hotels were, they weren't putting people in their hotels because you can't take that risk.
Right.
So definitely, they lost a lot of revenue at this point, that especially during the summer season, it's coming up right now. Right now, at this point, the spring, summer, fall season is usually some of their busiest times. Because the kids are out of school and, especially with the Halloween season coming up, you're going to have a lot of Fright Fest. You're going to have a lot of Halloween Horror Nights. You're going to have, Mickey's Not So Scary, stuff like that. People that are, into that stuff, they're going to want to go to these things and they're going to lose a lot of money because a lot of times you have to pay extra to do all these things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely going to take an impact.
And with a lot of people out of work, there's a lot of people or having their pay reduced if they're on if they're on unemployment.
Yeah.
And they didn't get their extra $600 every week. Then, yeah. I have no idea how things are gonna. I don't think we haven't seen the ramifications of this pandemic, and we're not going to for at least 6 months to a year. The full ramifications, I should say.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down once the holiday season comes back around. I think that's when it's really going to show. Once Halloween, not even Halloween, once Labor Day hits, I think that's when we're really going to start to see the effect.
There's going to be a bigger divide.
Yeah.
The people who have the money and have the means to do so will go on about their business.
Yes.
And the people who don't, or the people who suddenly lost a good portion of their income are going to hurt even more than they are right now.
Yeah.
Because people save up to take their families to Disney.
Yeah.
People save up to
it's an expensive trip.
Yeah.
It's expensive. Yeah.
People save up to even have a day, an outing for the day with their family at any amusement park. Because think about it. I mean, Kendrick, you, me, your mom, and our niece went to Dorney Park, and that was $200 right there just to get into the park.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, the last trip I went to Disney Universal, I think between two people for an entire week, and this is during Halloween Horror Nights. So with both tickets to Halloween Horror Nights, tickets, you're talking about what are the Hopper tickets from Disney and Universal tickets plus hotel plus air. I think between the two people that we went, I think we paid about $5,000.
Yep.
Between the two people.
That sounds about right.
I'm trying to price it out thinking that they'd be open by now. And I was like, yeah, plane tickets might be like $24, but the park is still going to cost like $1,000, $2,000 just for like one person. And but I'll wait.
Yeah, but even then, you're talking about food, you're talking about,
your hotel stay.
The hotel stay, which the hotel stay, honestly, I lucked out with the hotel stay because the hotel was brand new at the time. and I ended up getting getting a little bit of money back from it because some incidents that happened, but whatever. But the hotel stay wasn't so bad. It was more so the tickets. The tickets are what really drive up the cost of those actual trips. I think Halloween Horror Night tickets cost me about $400.
And then if you are traveling with kids, the kids want stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
And you want them to have fun, so like you don't want to say no to them.
Yeah.
So
and depending on what your niche is and all the rest of that stuff is. So if you're like, and that's why I think a lot of their revenue is going, because you're losing a lot of your revenue. And you go to Harry Potter Land, you want to get a wand, you want to get a cape, you want to get butterbeer, you want all the experience. I'm not getting that at home. I can't.
I mean,
I can't.
Even if unless they decide to put like some type of super package together or something like that, like where.
And it'll still be up there.
Yeah, that's true. Also, that's true.
It'll still be up. It's still going to be pricey.
I don't even think they'd be able to, because if they can only operate at 25 to 50% capacity, then they still need to make a profit. That's to even stay open and pay their people.
And then on top of it, they have to guarantee that those people are going to be able to get into the parks on the same day. Because remember, all three of these, the Universal and Disney, their whole mindset at this point is reservations. They're looking at, you're going to have to probably be doing reservations going forward.
Yeah.
And the reservation system's going to screw up a lot of people, because you're going to have a lot of Florida residents that have annual passes, a lot, that will now have to reserve their spots. And I'm wondering, especially with Disney World, Disneyland, with the new Star Wars park that they put in there, with Galaxy's Edge, with some of those rides, you need to reserve those rides in advance as well. So I wonder how that's going to impact those, if that's going to actually change that reservation system as well. So, was it Smuggler's Run, all that area over there, that stuff, you have to kind of reserve a lot of those things in there. So I can see that a lot changing. That might make it for the better, though, because you have more people being able to experience everything. Yeah. And it may work for the worse, because once I experience everything, when's the next time I'm coming around?
That's true. Also.
Yeah. Because when reservations open and people start flocking to these websites to make their reservations, think about it this way. How many of us have wanted to go to the African American Museum in DC and still have not been able to make a reservation? And how long has this been open so far?
Yeah. I mean, and it's the same thing. So it's either gonna hinder. It's gonna hinder, or it's gonna help. So you probably kind of have like a lottery system at that point. I mean, I think it would make more sense to have a lottery system at that point. But because you're gonna have a lot of people who have the means and have the ability to kind of pick up and go whenever they need to. So, and you're gonna have people that are gonna have to plan this out 2 years in advance. So you're gonna have two different dynamics. And reservation systems may or may not work for those two different dynamics for these bigger parks. Now, for a park like Six Flags, that may actually be a better system, because it's not a big park. They have many parks spread around, but it's not a big park.
Right.
And you can say, 2 weeks out, I want to go to go to Six Flags, and you can make it a Six Flags trip on a weekday or a weekend. In most cases, for most people. There's no saying when Six Flags is going to open, of course, because they're still not completely on their wave of like what they're going to do as far as their rides, because they are basically a full ride experience. It's not like more so interactive rides and things like Disney does with a lot of things. It's not like that. They are a full-on ride experience. So kind of finding out how they're going to work that, process is a little bit different for them.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about this. Six Flags is smaller. The largest one is us. Yay,
Great
Jersey. So, and I found that interesting when I found that interesting when I actually looked that up to see what the largest one was, because I don't even think Six Flags Great Adventure is that large. But maybe I'm just used to it being there.
Well, it's more so because they have more land mass. They own more land mass at Six Flags Great Adventure, because there's nothing really down there in Jackson. which is where when you look at the other parks, they're more in centralized locations, city locations, so they're kind of stuck to a block of land. So that's why.
Okay. So let's go around. Let's go around the room. If we have to make if we are theme park heads, if we have to make a reservation and we get one for this summer, are we going?
What, to Six Flags?
Who or any amusement park?
I mean, it depends on what the amusement park is.
Okay.
Because if you're telling me Six Flags, absolutely not.
Why not?
Well, because I was born in Jersey, and unfortunately, the downside of being in Jersey is that the main park everybody goes to is Six Flags, and eventually you get kind of worn out.
Bored of it, yeah.
Yeah, you get kind of worn out because Great Adventure is like, yeah, the safari. It was more fun when they had the baboons jumping on everybody's cars, but
exactly.
But it was destructive. But you know, the only thing I haven't been to at Six Flags Great Adventure is the water park.
Me neither.
And I really have you been there, Joss?
Yeah, I went there last year.
You went? Yeah, you have a season pass. That's right. I forgot. Yeah. We were talking about that the other day. Yeah, I mean, and I thought about it. I thought about getting the season pass and be like, you know what? One day I'm just gonna drive down there and just to go to the water park because I'll get the parking. Because I would go for the platinum just so I can get the parking or the diamond, whatever that is, get the parking, everything else, so that way I can kind of encompass it all. But then I'm like, why am I driving to Jackson? It's kind of that mindset. It's like, I really don't want to drive an hour out just to go to a water park that's about a third of the size of Dorney Park.
Yeah. I think that's why I've never been to Hurricane Harbor, is because it's not connected. It's two separate admissions. You know, at least with Dorney Park, I always did one half the the dry rides, and then we spent the rest of the day at the water park.
Yeah,
I did the opposit. I always did the water park first because the water park closes early.
First, and then do dry off.
Me and Joss, remember Joss and I did it one year. Yeah. We did it one year. I will never forget that trip ever, Joss.
I don't either. Every time I look at my card, I'm like, I remember.
just to give you like some background story, it was like, where did we get? It was like Hellersville or something like that.
I don't even remember the town.
It was like some weird town in PA, and we were driving past, and then Joss gets a flat, and we're like, "What the heck?
What?"
Yep. It was just like so crazy, and we're like, "What just happened?"
Wow.
Yeah, we pulled over. I was ready to change a tire, but apparently my mom was moving stuff, so there was no spare. So we had to call the tow truck. If we wound up at some place and bought a new tire, but it was still like. It was take the spare out of the car.
Yeah, it was a mess. We were just like, we were both shocked. We both got out of the car ready to go. Okay, we'll change the tire. And we both look. We're like, there is no tire.
Wow.
But we had fun in the end. Don't get me wrong. We had fun in the end. It was like we still
hit everything. Like,
yeah, we kind of did. It was a good day. We went actually because we did the water park, everything else, and then we got back. I was like, I will never forget that trip. But you know, Six Flags to me is like. What Dorney Park, we know what they want to be Dorney Park, but they can't. And like in the rides that they keep putting in there, don't make me want to come there either. I think the last ride they got was that little Ring of Fire ride, which I hate those anyway.
Yeah,
I'm like I hate flat rides. And they're like, oh, it's a new roller coaster. I'm like, no.
Want to try the Joker.
I don't.
That looks crazy.
I don't because. From what I understand, most states don't allow you to actually use that ride to the best of its ability.
Really?
So they limit the amount of spins that you actually are allowed to do on that ride. So it actually makes the ride a little bit more rough from what I understand. So, I mean, I definitely don't want to try it because the last thing I need is whiplash. The last time I got whiplash is when they had free fall. I'm good.
Yeah. There were a couple of rides at Six Flags that are. There was the one where you're standing, and I'm too tall for that, so I'm not really standing. I'm kind of sitting, but I'm not really. It's like that weird position where you're kind of sitting and kind of standing, and that was torture on my back. So I was like, oh, I do not need to do this again.
And same thing with Batman. Batman is the ride that everybody gets on because you want to get on it because it's iconic. But it's the new American Scream Machine.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was a kid when I went on the Batman ride, so like, I mean, I thought that was wild.
Every time I get on the Batman ride, I feel like my ankles are about to come off.
Well, that's
I get
because
I get this weird feeling in my ankles.
I think because we're
And
just.
only that ride.
I mean, I was like, what? What was I, 13, 12, 13 when I went on the Batman ride? So, I mean, I don't know. I just let my legs dangle, I guess, because legs don't have no other choice but to dangle. So, you know.
But it just hurts. It's becoming, for me, it's like, it's become what the Scream Machine was. You got on the Scream Machine
Scream
because
Machine
it was
terrible.
It was iconic. It was an iconic ride. You had to get on the Scream Machine. When you got in the Scream Machine, when you got off of it, you had to sit down because you lost an earring or
an ear.
Yeah, or like your head is banging. You're sick as a dog. You're not understanding why.
Maybe that's why I don't go on too many roller coasters like that, because it's like, first of all, I'm chunky, so that's like me trying to squeeze in there is a big problem within itself. Like
a lot of Six Flags rides like that.
A lot of these Six Flags, a lot of rides in general are made for skinny people, so I don't know what that's about. But I mean, I don't know. I think the ride I enjoyed the most. It's funny. I enjoyed the Batman ride. I had fun with it. I enjoyed the Batman and Robin ride when it was there.
I never got to ride it. And that's the thing. Every single time I used to go to Six Flags, I would go with the intentions, and I would always, it never failed. I made a beeline all the way to the back of the park because I wanted to get on Batman. I wanted to get on that ride. And from like watching theme park history, I now know why it was never open. But like to the point, because they were saying it was like at some points it was like sparking and smoking at, you know, the ride or whatever. It was pretty bad.
At that time I went there, the Robin side was actually broken. And that was the one I wanted to get on. I wanted to get on the Robin one, but that was broken.
Every time I used to go, because I used to go to Six Flags a lot. I was a season pass holder. I guess I'll say from when I first got my license and all through college, that's when I was a season pass holder. And every time my friend and I went to Six Flags, there was always one side that was closed.
Yeah, every time I used to go, it was always closed, full on closed. I've never gotten to ride that ride. And I think if they had that ride open, or if they at least kind of was like, you know, if it was still there and there was a chance that I can get on it, I think I would go. I would probably make the reservation just to go. But the fact that I'm like, it's not, and I really don't see anything I haven't ridden already. Like, I've ridden Nitro many times. You know, I've gotten on Superman. I don't like that ride at all. I don't like it at all. Like, they got one good drop on that ride. That's it.
It's not for people with boobs. First of all,
yeah, they got one good drop, and then that's about it. Everything else at that point is just painful to sit down and do.
Green Lantern. That's the one where you stand.
Oh, that's what it's called now.
The half sitting, half standing. If you're over 5, if you're over 5'8", like I am. No, Medusa is Bizarro now, and it's literally Medusa. They just painted different colors.
Yeah,
that's what you call recycling. I guess my question would be now, what
I like.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying I like El Toro. El Toro is a surprisingly smooth and good ride.
I don't do wooden roller coasters. I had one bad experience, and that was actually at Dorney Park. I had one bad experience on a wooden roller coaster, and I will not get on it anymore.
Hercules. I know that one.
But
no, El Toro is nothing like Hercules. It is. Yeah. It's a wooden roller coaster that feels like a steel coaster. It's so smooth.
Yeah, no, you would have to drag me kicking and screaming. I refuse to do a wooden roller coaster ever again. What were you gonna say, Kendrick? I'm sorry.
I was saying, like, giving all of that, like, I mean, I know we still don't know what Six Flags plans are as far as like when the summer arrives and I'm opening back up, but
they plan for reservations as well.
Yeah, they're doing the reservation system as well, and even with their parking, what they're doing is that, like, if you're going to go park there, you have to reserve your parking ahead of time too.
So would that even be worth it? So
you're still paying for everything. So, like, legitimately, I'm paying for parking still. and I'm paying to get into the park still.
Just less people.
Us less people, but no offense to anybody, but most of us working class people, if you took a day off during the week, you can go there in the week and get the same effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think the absolute last time I went to Six Flags, it was during the week. It was like, I don't think I've ever been to Six Flags during the weekend. It's always during the week.
I have. I've been there during the weekend.
Like the first time I went was during the week. When I went for my 8th grade outing, it was during the week. When I went with a school that I worked at, it was during the week. Yeah, I've never been to Six Flags over the weekend. I just realized that.
Yeah, during the week, if you go during the week, off on a non-holiday weekend or non-holiday week, not sometimes you get the same effect. So it's like you're already limiting people and making reservations to that. They're gonna make people more so now go during the week, during the times when people usually go, to kind of go there. But since you're still gonna lose out because you're not gonna have as many people in the park.
Yeah.
But my friend and I would always go on. We'd try to go during the week if we can, but if it was during the weekend or whatever day we went, we would always go when it would threaten to rain.
Yeah.
If it was gonna threaten to rain, then we'd go. One time it did rain, and it was like April, and it was like 50 degrees. Yeah. There was nobody there.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do that to me on a Fright Fest night, and it rained, but it actually stayed raining to the point where you couldn't get through Fright Fest. Wow! So it was a wash. But but I mean, as far as that, I think what Six Flags is doing, I think it will work for other parks like Great America, Six Flags Over Texas. Those very popular parks. I'm not sure how it worked for Great Adventure because I'm not sure, but I would have to look up their numbers to see what their attendance numbers were last year. But personally for me, I wouldn't actually do it for Six Flags. I think I don't remember the last time I actually stepped foot on Six Flags property.
It's been over 10 years for me.
Yeah, it's like I don't remember the last time I stepped foot in their property. And like I said, I had thoughts because especially driving, sometimes between here and Delaware, it's like sometimes I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can stop by because I pass by it. I can see it. I can pass. I'm like, I'm on the turnpike anyway, so I'll sometimes look at it. I'm like, I can get off on 7A right now and totally go to the park and kind of just chill out, and then go home later.
Right.
But then I'm like, why would I want to pay $60?
Yeah.
Plus parking. So, and for me the season passes are worth it because I wouldn't take 2 trips. I used to be worth it when I used to when I was younger, and one year I had my season pass and I actually ended up being in Dallas that year, or Austin. I forget if it was Dallas or Austin. I forget where I was. I was near a Six Flags, like across the street from one. And you know what? I was able to go to that Six Flags.
Yep.
But
I remember those days.
Yeah, so it was like it worked out perfectly then because I had my season pass. I was able to kind of bounce from here to there. But now that I'm older and I'm not traveling to those places, I have no reason to be there. It doesn't work. So, and then, but the one thing that, and Tani, I think you brought this up for Six Flags, is that in addition to them doing the whole making sure they have the sanitizing stations and all the other stuff, they're actually opening, thanks to Governor Murphy's new executive order, they're actually doing the whole drive-through safari thing again.
Yes. So let's talk about that. First of all, I didn't know that they stopped doing the drive-through safari. But all right, so they stopped it in 2012. 2013, they introduced driving through with the trucks or buses. So Kendrick and I were talking about this briefly. Would the drive-through safari work now? Yes. I was saying people are obnoxious now. I envision people honking their horn and taking pictures with the flash on their camera and just doing things that are going to make the animals kill them.
Well,
So,
I don't think it'll work because I think it's a little bit different now. I think they would have to do it differently and have to leave everything behind cages. Mainly because one of the reasons why, or some of the reasons why they took that option away from people to drive through was because people were feeding the animals. So
okay.
out of your literally tell you keep your windows rolled up. If you had an antenna, which back in the day we know those antennas they used to want to stick up in the air, and they told you turn your radios off so your antenna would kind of collapse into the car if you had the ability for that to do that. Because that was the baboons. The baboons would rip off windshield wipers. They
Yeah,
rip anything.
totally stole my girl's antenna when we were in high school.
Yeah, antennas, anything that kind of was can be ripped off. They used to do so. They put the baboons behind a cage. That
And
was
took a crap on her car
yeah.
That's
I
before
can
running
believe
off.
it. Yeah,
that's
like
that's
the
nice.
baboons were very destructive. So a lot of that came from like them feeding the animals, stuff like that. So they had to stop because you have to talk about the safety of your animals. Because again, people are obnoxious. They don't think they're like, oh, I'm just feeding them berries and fruits. You don't know what their diet is. So you don't know what they're actually eating or, if they're actually allowed to actually eat that or let's see here. If, they can actually, take on a lot of that stuff. I think a lot of people just forget that when they're actually looking at, a lot of these things. So definitely, the safari can work, but they would have to put limitations. So they have to basically treat it like a zoo. So
That
most
makes me
stuff,
sad.
yeah, I'm like they would have to treat it like a zoo because you got to think as well. If you have live animals walking around, the one problem you're always going to run into is always going to be one animal sitting in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
I
Like
thought that was. I used to think that was funny.
when we like the first time we went to Six Flags and we went through the safari. For one, it was just like way too long. I was like over it within like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But
And that was probably back before every car had AC in it, or
yeah,
actually efficient AC.
yeah. So I mean, there have to be a lot of things put in place for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just about like keeping your windows rolled up and stuff. Like, there has to be a way. I mean, because like I agreed. Like, like the whole going the zoo route would. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of rough because, like, I'm even thinking back to I'm thinking to the Turtleback Zoo. Because they usually have a wide range of space to like move around in, but zoos kind of suck. Like if I'm gonna be honest here, they just kind of suck. Like
I actually
For the
like
animals.
Bronx. I like the Bronx Zoo. I enjoy the Bronx Zoo entirely.
I'm not gonna lie, the Bronx Zoo was actually pretty neat. I enjoy that. I like the Bronx Zoo. It was pretty cool, but I don't know.
And San Diego.
I don't know. I'm kind of getting like Tiger King vibes here. It was like keeping these animals locked up in captivity kind of sucks. I mean, even though those guys are all trash, so that's a different story. But I already talked about Tiger King.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to put a lot of things in place to ensure the safety of both people and the animals during that time. They can't be letting the monkeys run around all over the place because I mean, it might have been cute when we were kids to see a monkey sitting on top of a car, but
yeah, now that it's my car, it's not funny anymore.
Especially if you have a white car and you got a monkey dropping a whole deuce on the top of your car, that's not going to be fun.
Forget it. Have a panoramic sunroof.
Or something like that. I mean,
just have a nice little panoramic sunroof. Have them sitting up there, kind of just squatting on top of your car. It's funny for 2 seconds.
Yeah, like.
But I believe that even when before they actually discontinued the baboon exhibit for you to drive through the baboon exhibit, they actually put them behind cages. The last time I went there, so you literally drove past and you saw them in the cage and you were able to see them there, but they would not allow them to actually be on your car. So definitely because they were so destructive, they kept that. But I can definitely see a lot of animals if they are freestanding and stuff like that, because that's the one thing about safaris that I appreciate is that when they do that, they are in the animal's environment.
Right.
Exactly.
People are not going to understand that when they're driving through. So if you're driving through and you're in an animal's environment, you're now going to have to now, be able to kind of wait.
Yeah.
Because if a hippo wants to lie in the middle of the road, not a hippo, but like a giraffe decides I'm going to stand here for 5 minutes, it's standing there for 5 minutes. I'm in your way.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's what I think they wouldn't be able to do too much of that. For many reasons. Number one, because you're going to have to keep the cars a certain distance between each other.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to keep people from feeding them. Which you're not going to have a bunch of, you're going to have a lot of people running around to keep people from doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going on a safari, like through the Serengeti, I have to do what they say.
Yes.
Right.
But apparently, our Americans.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not just us. From what
I know, but
it's not just us.
That whole entitlement, they feel like, well, my tax dollars helped build this.
I paid my money. I'm a touch a monkey. You leave me alone.
Monkey's gonna rip your face off, okay?
I paid money for that monkey to rip my face off. I don't care. Let me touch the monkey.
Yeah, but and that's and for me that I think that really kind of, I mean, it would work, but they need to implement it the right way. They need to kind of put it out there so that way people are driving through, but they're seeing these animals from behind their own kind of cage in a sense. So to keep us in line.
I definitely feel like if it's a situation where maybe the people who are going through the safari, they're not in their own vehicle. Maybe it's a vehicle that's commissioned by the park, with seats like X amount of people. And,
I would prefer that, yeah.
And you drive around, like have it like be reinforced and stuff. You can let the monkey sit on top of it. But
that's the way the safari worked actually before this. The safari was actually, you would go on and there was actually a safari truck that you were on. But from what I'm understanding, from what I'm reading, they're going back to the old method of letting people drive through.
Look, people ain't gonna be trying to hear all that. Well, people probably will. We underestimate American people.
People are going to be clamoring to do anything this summer.
Yeah.
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 I feel like it could work for like us because we knew what it was like before.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like, we know what rules about, we're more willing to listen. Then the people who've never experienced it this way, they're going to be like, well, my car is fast. I should be able to get through this. I only wanted to spend 20 minutes in this safari. I should be able to go around somebody. Like it's going to be that sensation of like, I need to get through this as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing as far as like timing. So like a lot of the animals have their own sleep schedule.
Yeah.
So
yes,
and they're all asleep. Like you're driving through literally just a park and you can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
So how much more is that going to back up stuff because of traffic and timing of when you get there and how long you can get through? Like they kind of have to make that up like a car wash if they just set everybody on tracks and then it just lets it keep the same pace going through. But
yeah, exactly. And they're still going to limit the amount of people that are coming in still. So you're still going to have to make a reservation for it, regardless of how you're going to work out. You're still going to have to make a reservation to get in there. But you're not going to be making a reservation to be like, I'm going to take 20 minutes to be in here when it's an hour long ride.
Right.
You're going to have to go in there for the long haul and, make sure you got gas in your car.
Yeah.
Let's throw that out there. I'm like,
what if that's ever happened? Probably.
It has.
Yeah.
Wow. You better.
And I'm going to tell you right now, Six Flags, if you on this right now, I think you need to go get a deal with some Sunoco's or some, whatever.
That actually would be a good idea for them to get some kind of strike up some kind of deal with a gas company and like, look.
They just have AAA on the side and be like, all right, well, it's $20 for this 1 gallon right now. You should have filled up before you got here.
Especially with the electric cars right now, have some like charging posts here and there or something like that. They're gonna have to work something out.
Wow.
Basically, there's going to be a lot of trial and error that they're going to have to be working on from now up until, summer hits. Like, they're going to have to, like, test run a lot of stuff.
Well, a trial and error can't really happen until it opens.
And that's
unless you have these employees' families try things out, like that restaurant in Amsterdam did.
Yeah, and that's probably what's going to end up happening. It's probably going to be a trial run first, for a lot of these places, but it can be like a whole Shanghai thing where they just basically, you know what, open up. But the thing, like I said, the thing I think I appreciate more from Shanghai than what's here is that, and there's probably never going to be a lot here because I can see people going, "You're infringing upon my rights."
Exactly.
You know, is that whole, I have a QR code that says, "Hey, I saw a doctor. My doctor cleared me. I'm good."
Yeah, but what happens if you're online and the person standing in front of you just like it's like a code red?
And that's another thing.
What are you gonna do?
Well,
I personally am not gonna do anything. I don't want to touch a sick person, but we've already seen instances of people attacking people that they thought were sick.
Yeah, but the thing is that as well is that
should be.
What is that? I'm sorry.
If they're keeping their distance, like I have a feeling it should be that when they scan the code, it's like private to like the person who's working there and whoever's walking in. So whoever's behind them in line won't know. Like,
exactly.
Like, go through like a tunnel of like people just disappear afterwards because maybe there's a timing of before they let them in. So you may not even run into the next person at the park because you don't know which way they went, like down the hallway. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think if you're going to be taking temperatures, you're going to have something in place so that way you can turn people away. You're going to have to basically, you know what, you're not allowed or you cannot. You know, and if that means a refund, or they're going to have to adjust refund policies, things of that nature, because, you know, you never know. I can reserve my ticket today and 2 weeks from now I can come down with, you know, anything. And now I have to stay home. So you're going to something has to be put in place where I can get refunded because I wasn't expecting to be sick, you know, or expecting to show up and to have a fever of 101.
Right.
You know, because some like people like me, I don't notice I have a fever right away. I can go a whole day before I realize I have a fever. And then when I do,
you know, I was saying that's true because there are some instances where it's like you said, you may not start to feel anything until like maybe the next day or the day after that. Like that first day, you're probably like good to go. Like you're not thinking anything of it, and especially considering if this is something like the summer where the temperature is just automatically up, so you're just hot from just being outside.
Yes,
it's like, I mean, unless they're gonna set up spots where they can test you like inside of a place that's like really like the heat is like the temperature is like regulated and stuff, and they can do it from there. But that's gonna be a lot to try to set up. And then one of the things I was just thinking about is you're gonna have those people. We've already been seeing them. Though you're gonna have those people that are gonna just come and just try to be nasty, try to start licking stuff, try to start putting their fingers all up in their mouth and trying to touch things and like
for likes, for people that are for likes.
Yeah,
but that's why they're doing a lot of sanitation processes. So like I said, like a lot of high touch areas and stuff like that, they're making sure to be on it. Like people are just kind of just wiping those down, and you have to be kind of vigilant in that particular sense when it comes to stuff like this. So, I can totally see, if they're doing this and if it's working for Shanghai, I definitely think, but I'm like, we're talking about a different breed of kind of people in a sense. I hate to say it that way. So, but like I said, if we had a system in place like that, where I can basically pull up my phone and say, hey, this is me. Here's my ID. This is me. You can look at my QR code and say, I'm sick. I'm not sick, or I'm allowed to be here. And what that QR code also does as well, if you have it on your phone, it lets you know if you came in contact with anybody who had it.
Yeah.
So that keeps you monitored. So that way it protects the people, it protects you, it protects the people that are sick, it protects everybody. That way the police know these people are kind of moving.
Right.
And that they're out and about and they shouldn't be. So again, can't do it here because you're infringing upon my rights. But personally, I wouldn't care. And like, and I'm not one
of either way.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't. I'm like, I'm kind of those people. I have a cell phone. You're following me all the time anyway, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, really.
You know where I am all the time. So if I'm not doing anything wrong, why do I care if you're monitoring me or not?
Exactly.
It's going to be very interesting, and like now, and you just made me think about the whole sanitation process with these parks now, because it's like it's going to have to be a thing where
they have people working just for that.
People just working like as soon as you get off a ride, they gotta wash it down, sanitize it, and everything.
Yeah.
And
yep.
I mean, it'll probably work in an instance where it's like you have to have a reservation to get to these places, so it's not like it's gonna be like super crowded or anything like that. But
and and it said like, and people wouldn't mind waiting if the wait is 10-20 minutes versus the 60 minutes it'd be on a regular day. I don't think people would care.
Like,
at first,
they shouldn't.
They shouldn't care. That's the key point.
At first,
people that go to amusement parks all the time are probably used to waiting 2 hours to get on a ride.
Yeah, that's true.
So waiting a half an hour will seem like a vacation.
Yeah,
but but some people there's always going to be the one person. There's always going to be the one person who's going to be entitled to say, "Hey,
I paid my money. Put me on this ride. I paid my money. I don't care.
You're ruining my baby's vacation.
I'll clean it with my butt. I don't care. I want to get on the ride." But
yeah, but there's always going to be those people. So I think in all, like, it can work, but I think after the point you're going to have to start putting in more implementations in, because there are going to be more and more impatient people, and there are going to be more people want to go, more people want to. They're gonna start becoming more impatient with the process. Now it's okay, but a year from now it's not going to be.
I mean, well, hell, look at what's going on right now. You got people
couldn't even wait 2 weeks in their house
protesting because, like you said, you're infringing on my rights to be outside and be free.
My favorite,
like, bro, you are about to die from this disease and you don't sit your ass down.
my favorite one is, I am protesting you closing the gym by exercising on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Well, go right ahead then, because you're allowed to do that.
Go ahead and knock yourself out, bro.
Yeah, that was my favorite, because it's like you're exercising on the sidewalk, but you're mad the gym is closed.
Like, okay, like, just go to the park and do that shit. Just go home and do that shit. Like, that's what you think we like. Come on, it's gonna be it
keeps, you have to keep refreshing it, Tani. For some reason, it keeps going in and out.
So while I've been sitting here with you guys, I've actually been going on virtual rides at Busch Gardens.
Yeah, Disney has been doing the same thing. Disney World's been doing the same thing. Disneyland, to do the virtual rides, because, like, a lot of people, especially people that can't, I would, like, a lot of these parks where, like King's Dominion, a lot of the Cedar Point parks that I've, wanted to do, it's a nice way to kind of look at them, because it's some places that I would never go. Like Knott's Berry Farm is one place I am not interested in going personally, but if I was in the area, I'd probably try it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Cedar Point. I'm like, what else am I going to do in Ohio?
It's like, you just go there for that. That's pretty much what is there. And like, you have people that do that because they're amusement, themes or whatever. But, definitely, if
I mean, virtual parks is actually something, or virtual rides rather. That's something that they might want to expand upon. Actually,
it's not the same.
I'm not getting the effect right now. I've been on 5 rides while sitting here with you guys. Even
if you were on VR, to be honest, even if it was a VR ride, it's not the same. It doesn't come out that way. It's more so, it's for the visual purpose of this, to say, hey, if you were here, you would enjoy this better.
Yeah,
but
I guess that makes sense.
I'm like,
I mean, I keep thinking back to the one that we did at Dave and Buster's. Like I said, granted, we did kind of a whack one, but I see what they were trying to do. I can see the potential in it. They got a lot of kinks to work out. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's others that are better. We just haven't been
go to Disney World, a whole lot better.
But
yeah, I mean, it's different, but definitely, with stuff like that, it's weird. But like, the one thing I'm concerned about, because I'm not really an amusement park type of person, like, I stopped getting on rides, when the point where I was starting to get vertigo. Hashtag I was starting to get older. So I stopped going on a lot of roller coasters because of that. I think the last one I got on was Kingda Ka. I think that was the last one I did before I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm
retired. Roller coasters. I retired my championship. It's over.
It's like, yeah, I've accomplished the highest roller coaster in the world. I'm good. I'll let this sit. But my thing is water parks. I enjoy doing water parks more than I enjoy doing roller
Yeah.
coasters.
Oh man.
And those are kind of more disgusting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
already.
that's
Already.
that's gonna be the real challenge, right? What happened?
They're disgusting, but they're not because all the water is like chlorinated. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
It depends
But-
on where you go sometimes too, because some of them they actually don't use chlorine in their water. They use different products. Like you go to certain Disney parks, their water has a different smell to it because they're not using a chlorine-based product. So I forgot what the name of the product is, but it's a different type of product.
Yeah.
They're
I
gonna
don't think Action Park does it use chlorine in their water either.
they're gonna
Because
have
they want to keep that fresh water
fresh
it
water.
doesn't
feeling.
smell like
Fresh
all
water
that
my
Action Park.
ass. That shit came from the faucet. I don't want to hear that. Anyway. But
And that came from a faucet, and it probably came from like the Raritan of the Pacific.
yeah. But I definitely feel like water parks they're probably gonna have to take more precautions than like regular theme parks at this point because
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah. And researching, I haven't seen any water parks talk about what their system is going to be.
I mean, I looked at the actual World Water Park Association website,
Okay.
and they just put in considerations like, well, like the same kind of things, because really they're like talking about putting on masks. Problem is, I'm at a water park. A mask is not going to help me at a water park because it's going to get wet.
Exactly.
So same thing with like employees. How do you administer CPR or mouth to mouth on somebody if they're drowning? You're going to have to do that now and risk yourself getting
we can't wait for the first aid kit to come with the little things like over your mouth, like you're
barrier,
dying.
the little barrier, mouth barriers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of one of those things where I'm kind of looking at it from that point of view. It's like they're like, oh, we have to retrain the staff and we have to do disinfecting and more sanitizing.
Like y'all wasn't doing that before?
I mean, not really.
Not
Most
really.
parks
we're
weren't
not
doing that. Most parks weren't.
They're like,
let's throw it out there. Most parks, this was not their priority. This was like their last thing. So you were touching like 12 other 12-year-old germs. They just picked their nose and rubbed the freaking railing, and you just touched it 10 minutes later. It
sounds like the subway.
Sounds like my job.
But but I'm like, they're like asking for stuff like I said from face masks. I'm like, no offense, I'm getting on a dive, a straight dive, not even a dive. What do you call those? Where the floor drops off from underneath you. I'm getting on one of those. I'm gonna get soaking wet because I have water coming from above me. I'm gonna be dropped into water. My face is gonna be covered in water, and then I'm gonna be dropped into like a
cesspool.
Yeah.
A mask at a water park in no way, shape, or form will work. It will come off.
Yeah.
It'd be all in the water.
It'll be wet. What's a wet mask gonna do?
If I forget a wave pool.
Yeah. You're gonna have to put on a whole.
To be completely honest, and I looked at this and other. I know you're risking our health, but our bodies have to just develop some sort of defense against this virus.
I mean, it's gonna take a while because it's just like the flu vaccine. Most kids had to get the flu vaccine, and in order to build up that immunity, because as a kid you may not have the actual. You're already trying to fight off a bunch of other germs and
exactly
crud and everything else. So most kids get the flu vaccine as children, so that way when they do get older, when they do get the flu, it doesn't affect them as badly. Same thing with older people. Older people get the flu vaccine because as people with weak immune systems, we get it. And I mean, it has to happen. I mean, so eventually, if they do come with a vaccine for it, I mean, I know a lot of people that are anti-vaccine, but I'm probably going to be on board with getting it myself, because the last thing I want to do is get on an airplane and get on recirculated air with somebody else who may have it and not be vaccinated. Same thing is that I like water parks. I do enjoy a water park, but I want to be able to go to a water park and not wear a mask. I want
won't work anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I want to be able to enjoy myself. Like, granted, I don't get in wave pools anymore. I don't remember the last time I got into a wave pool.
I do.
Me neither.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Josh, you remember the last time you got in a wave pool?
Yeah, last year I was on a water park binge. So I did Hurricane Harbor, I did Action Park. We wanted to do Dorney Park, but then the summer kind of just got away from us. But
Class Action Park.
What?
Last
I
time.
love Action Park though, or Mountain Creek. Sorry.
Yeah, because
Oh
no
no,
longer.
it's Action Park again.
Are they doing
it back to Mountain Creek?
Yeah. Oh wait, what?
No, yeah, they recently it changed back to Mountain Creek.
What?
I think it was only like 2 years that it was Action Park because they did the whole big thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't get it together.
Came out about Action Park, and then they changed it back to Mountain Creek.
Yeah.
I tried to search for Action Park. I'm like, why is it not working? Mountain Creek. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, because Class Action Park came back up again, and people were not they were not happy you call it Class Action Park because that's literally what it was.
Well.
But yeah, I mean, I don't remember. I don't even think when we went to Dorney Park, Josh, we didn't get on the water. We didn't get in the wave pool, did we?
Wave pool, I think we skipped because we're just gonna stand here and wait for the big wave. We just did the rides. I feel like we did the lazy river, but the wave pool has never been like a big draw for me.
Yeah.
It's always dependent on if I'm with other people. Otherwise, I want to get on the ride. Like I can't, so I'm not like jumping off the cliff, but I will get in a tube and then see if I flip off at the end, whatever. But
yeah.
I feel like as soon as Ken and I have decided that we're gonna start having more fun and work less, this happened. Like last summer was the first time we went on a vacation in about 4 years.
Like a vacation. Like we actually went out the state somewhere.
But you know,
got on a plane and went somewhere.
Like, but the thing is, like for me, I was looking at going to the water park that's actually opening in the mall. And you know what I'm talking about in America?
Yeah.
Oh, Nickelodeon Universe.
Yes, I was looking at going to that water park, and I'm like, I was getting really hyped up because I'm like, yeah, it's an indoor water park. I can go there in the wintertime. I can go there right now when they open because it's cold, and I can get. And I'm like, and then this happened, and I'm like,
crap.
Yeah.
I'm like, great. I was like, you were already, and it was already one of those things. American Dreams. Most people that don't know that are listening from out of state, American Dream, aka Xanadu, has been in production for I don't know over 10
since 2002.
It's
literally since 2002 it's been in development, and it finally opened this year. It's not fully opened.
No.
And then this happened.
Yeah, and they just opened the actual amusement park, which the amusement park even wasn't open with all the rides fully functional. So they just opened the amusement park, and they were getting ready to open the water park, but they put a delay on it. So that has been delayed as well. They opened the ski slope, they opened the ice skating rink. They haven't even opened the mall itself. So even the stores.
There was only like 2 or 3 pop-up shops that were open. Toys R Us opened. I think Whoopi Goldberg had a pop-up shop that was open. And then I think maybe one other store. So this thing is probably hemorrhaging money right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, they got so many grants from the government, the things like that to get kind of thing moving. But the thing is that they were opening an indoor water park, which should be I think it would be one of the first ones that they have open in North Jersey.
There's a couple in South Jersey that are disgusting.
Like Sahara Sam's, and I forgot what the other one is. But it'll be one of the first ones up. And it was exciting because it was not like a kid-based type of thing. It was a family event type of thing. So I can go as an adult and not feel uncomfortable. And I didn't have to go out to the Poconos to, go to, one of those out there. So it would have been fun to do, but when this happens, it kind of makes you question if you want to go anymore. Because already they were limiting service. So this is an example of a place where they were already limiting who they were allowing in. So with their amusement park, you had to buy tickets. When they were out of tickets, you couldn't get any more tickets. You had to buy them for certain time slots. You had to buy them. So basically, you were only allowed in the mall for a certain amount of time when you're actually at those amusement parks. Same thing with the water park. It was going to kind of be the same type of thing. You go there, you buy a time slot. You're there for that time slot. You do your rides, you do everything, and then you have to leave after your time slot.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So it wasn't like an all-day thing. And, I'm looking at it now going, okay, is it really worth it for me to spend $60 to go to this water park?
You can't even spend all day there? That's
exactly. To spend $60 at this water park. and there's a possibility I may be with somebody who may be sick because there's no way of me telling or knowing. And that kind of leads me to like one of my questions that I was asked, like, if you, and this is up to you guys as well, listening, if you, oh, sorry, I just saw Harold just wrote, one day I have to adult. Y'all are talking about my favorite topic ever. He says, I want to go to the water park with 6-pack abs and just pose. Harold's a mess.
Let's all thrive to debut our new bodies.
Oh no,
at the water park.
Summer gets whatever body I give it. I'm sorry. The water park is getting whatever body I give it that year. So, if it's 6-pack abs that year, go ahead. If it's 6-pack flab, that's what we're gonna work with. When I'm at this point, I got other priorities right now. But the question I was gonna ask is that, how many of you guys are really gonna be flocking out? Like if they open up these parks and they open up the stuff for the summertime, what is it going to take for you guys to go out to these parks?
We have no children. So, I mean, I guess if Ken's niece wants to go, then maybe. But no, I'm not I don't like leaving my house in the first place. So.
I mean, at this point right now, especially with the way things are, is like, like it's really at a point where it's like, if we can like borrow a kid for a day, then like, yeah, sure, why not? Like if my niece wants to go, then all right, sure, yeah, we'll do that. But other than that, it is. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of things that they're gonna have to implement. There's a lot of things that they're gonna have to try out. And it'll probably be a good while before they can find something that really, really works.
There's just so much anxiety that I even have around this whole thing because I don't worry about myself so much, but being around my mother or my grandmother or anyone else who might have high blood pressure or any other things like that. It's like that's what gives me the anxiety. I wish there was something to this antibodies test, because if you took the antibodies test and then that means that you already had it and then you're not going to get it again, then I'm like, oh, I can go about my business now.
But there's no guarantee that we're not going to get it again. That's the
exactly.
Problem. That's why the actual vaccine needs to be worked on, because if you get a vaccine, then the possibility of you getting against still not. But it's
There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet, and and I think that's the worst part about all of this, is because we're getting ready. Like, we're in the middle of May right now. We've been in quarantine since the middle of August. I mean August since the middle of March.
Wow, really?
Well, March officially, but some people started in like February, January.
Yeah, like March 12th,
16th.
Yeah, March 16th
is when the state of New Jersey shut down.
So like come this Saturday, it'll be a whole 3 months. It'll be a whole March. 2 months. 2 months.
2 months.
Whole 2 months, and then there's still a lot of things that are unanswered about this. Like, we still have no headway as far as like you said, no, like, as far as antibodies and like finding like a vaccine for this stuff. We still don't know anything. Like, we're basically going off suggestions, I should say. We're going off of suggestions at this point right now, as to like make sure we don't get sick, we don't get anybody else sick, and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've been looking at the summer, and it's like,
what do I do?
How is that going to work? Like, the only thing I can think about is just like work, like actual work, like things to do to keep revenue coming in. But as far as like leisure and like fun,
it's a hard sell.
I live across the street from a park. They still haven't opened up the playset area for the kids yet.
They're not going to.
You can go to that splash park over there for free.
Mm-hmm.
but you realize that they're not going to open that, and
Probably not,
because and just to let you guys know, Ken, Tani, and I all live right now in the same kind of area, so I know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They're not going to open that because that's going to require kids getting close to each other, people getting close to each other, and things of that nature. It's like, and you see the signs on those parks. They're basically saying mask, social distancing, mask, social distancing. Yeah. And with our governor kind of loosening it just a little bit to allow, the pop-ups for, like, because we were talking about this the other day, the movie theaters, the pop-up movie theaters to come up. So basically the drive-in theaters are going to be popping up now.
Yeah. So
people can actually go out and do things from their car and sit in their car and relax. So, there are going to be cases where we're going to be able to kind of do stuff and get out. But I totally believe going to an amusement park is not going to be one of my priorities at this point. It's not going to take.
No, it's not a priority.
It's not going to be. It's it's going to be one of those things that's probably going to be the last thing on my mind I want to do. And I'm probably going to sit down and watch how many people get sick, or watch if anybody gets sick. I'm not saying how many. I'm not going to knock on wood. I don't want anybody to get sick, but watch how people and see if people are going to get sick. And watch those numbers, see how those numbers change.
And that's probably really what it's gonna have to be about for like going into the summer. It's like we gotta people are gonna have to or at least us, we're gonna sit and watch to see how everything plays out with these theme parks. Like, okay, who's gonna get sick? Like, how are they gonna upkeep? With sanitation, things like that.
Yeah.
It's really. It sucks. I mean, if we're going to be real, it does suck that we have to consider these things now. Things that we probably should have been considering beforehand, but we just weren't because we didn't really have to deal with a situation like what we're dealing with right now.
Mm-hmm.
But to think that we're at a point where in 2020 where we have to consider whether or not going to a theme park that has put in place certain procedures and ordinances and stuff, is it still worth going? Is it literally risking your health to go to a theme park? And there's many other ways you can get hurt at a theme park. But but now
already,
but now it's like, and
just breathing the same air as someone else is risky now.
If I stand next to this person, I could possibly get sick.
That's and even it's going to change your ride experience. So
yeah.
It's like I said, Six Flags. The reason, one of the reasons why they don't have anything implemented is because they're a ride-based experience. So you're basically going to have a normal ride experience. So skipping a row may not be possible or feasible in most cases because you have Kingdom Hearts, stuff like that. A lot of that requires a wait. In order to get over that hill.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever even experienced someone getting sick on a ride?
No.
Thank
goodness, no.
Okay, so I've experienced this. I was right there in the front. I was about to get on. Someone on the ride previously got sick. So what they do is they sanitize the entire ride. Everybody gets off, sanitize they close the line, they sanitize the ride, they let the ride go through. Then they sanitize it again. And then let the ride let the ride run empty. And then they do this about at least 2 or 3 times before letting people back on again. Could you imagine if there was they scan you before you go into the park. But can you imagine if they have some sort of system where they scan people while they're in the park? And then all of a sudden someone's temperature spikes. And now they have to close the ride and sanitize it.
But I don't think that, I think that's one of the things that's probably going to be not the case, is that they're not going to implement those systems where they're going to have scannings. Because literally, when I'm talking about scanning, you're talking about a handgun, basically going, because you can stand 6 feet away to do it, going somebody, scanning their forehead, okay, your temperature is 100. Okay, your temperature is 98. You're going through that. I'm like, so you're literally having to have a scan gun, but that's going to, in order to do that with everybody on a ride or throughout, you're going to have to legitimately have somebody reading people's temperatures all day, and you're not going to be able to have that. It's not going to be feasible.
Okay.
But, and even then, if it's a sunny day, you're going to have a lot of infrared systems. So you have a lot of people's skin is going to be hotter than their actual body temperature. So their skin's probably going to be, 105, whatever the temperature is outside, but their body temperature may not be the same. So, or even heat stroke, which can happen as well. When your body temperature gets too, I had that when I was in Florida. I had it pretty bad. Heat stroke can also affect that temperature. So you definitely, it's not going to be so much a case of like them running them through, but I think the process will have to slow down. And I think that's what Six Flags is looking at right now, is that you're going to have to now start slowing down this process. And there's a lot of people that are front seat, back seat riders. There are a lot of people that they're always looking for front seat, back seat.
Yeah.
And you're going to have lines for that, because you're going to have people just wanting to get on the ride, and you're going to have people that want to ride front seat, they're going to have to now think about that. So you're going to have to
oh my God. How long is a social distance line?
Long. Long. You're talking about 6 feet, six. You're talking about a good, minute before you actually interact with the next person. You're talking about good distance. So, but that's why a lot of places are limiting their stuff. So they're going to limit their lines. So if they see that line is going past the social distancing mark, they're going to close off that line until that line is actually not opening, until they can actually put more people in.
Right.
Because they're going to have a limit.
Wow.
So you're going to have to now start limiting people to lines. And if, like I said, all those people are front seat riders, that's going to change. It's going to change your line.
I think I would go just to see what this process is like. I think I'm going to volunteer to be I think Ken and I should volunteer to be the guinea pigs.
They volunteer as tribute, guys. You heard it. Y'all heard
I'm
it
willing
first.
to see how it would work, but then the other part of it is like, our reservation is going to be like specific person, or is it going to be
the specific person?
Okay,
Really?
Because my thing is like, you go ahead and you make a fake email address, and then some reseller buys the ticket, and then they're on eBay trying to sell their spot. Like that's always going to be a thing. So,
yeah, and that's what they thought about. And a lot of these places, like I guess Shanghai, for instance, you have to have your ID when you show up. So when you come in, like, I don't know if they do it now still with season pass tickets. What season pass tickets, you used to have their picture on the actual season pass.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you still have to go with your season pass. You turn your season pass around. Hey, here's my picture. It's me. But for Shanghai, you have to have a government issued ID to show it's you. So that way they know. And Disney's the same way. If anybody's gone to Disney recently, we already know what's going on. This is another thing I question about Disney. You go to Disney, you do your little wristband thing or your ticket thing, because your ticket's usually an infrared scanner type of thing. It's usually like a piece of plastic. It has a little chip in it. You put it against the little Mickey sign. The Mickey sign goes green. And what's the first thing you do? You give them a fingerprint.
Yeah, we did the same thing happened with Busch Gardens. They took your handprint or something, or maybe your fingerprint.
Yeah, you give them a fingerprint. And the reason why is it shows that fingerprint belongs to me. So you legitimately have to put your fingerprint down to show that that's you. So I don't see that part changing at all. Like even when I went to go pick up my tickets at the booth, I had to show ID to show it was me. So I believe that process will still not change. I think you would still have to kind of go get your reservation, show your ID, go in there, and then again, how do you sanitize between people's fingerprints? How do you keep that going? How do you have that? Who knows? But
I mean, I don't know what the general public does, but every time I'm out now, everything I touch, I spray my hands with alcohol afterwards.
Which is kind of funny. I went to the liquor store today, and it was actually a bottle of liquor that actually was a bottle of sanitizer. It was actually not a bottle of liquor.
Oh, snap.
And they had it on display, and I almost bought it. I almost sat there and looked at it. I was like, you know what? It's like, how much is that? Like $60? I'm like, but yeah, you would have to, like, I know, like, a lot of, like, it's the same thing with Shanghai. They're putting out, you get off a ride, there are legitimately, like, every 6 feet or so, there are sanitizer pushes for that. So that way you can kind of sanitize your hands and keep walking. So that way they can keep the general public kind of moving. And that's going to have to be the same thing with a lot of these places. You're going to have not have sanitizing station all over the place, which even on cruises, and you know how much of an avid cruiser I am, one of the big things that they tell you on cruises, because the one thing that runs through cruises is the norovirus, and they kind of tell you wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. There's always going to be the person who walks right past it.
Yep.
You know, it's always going to be that person who's going to walk, you know, directly. So how do you implement that? How do you keep those people sanitizing themselves? How do you keep people washing their hands? How do you keep that going? You know, so those are the questions I personally have in order to go back to it. In order to go back to an actual amusement park, how do you keep people doing the right thing? How do you keep people that don't want to wear a mask wearing a mask?
That's the all car wash setup. People walk through a tunnel and there's just sanitizer spraying down on you as you walk through. That's the only way I see that working. You force sanitize, but that won't work because people's rights and infringing on them. So
I have the right to not be sanitized.
I have the right to be dirty. Leave me alone.
I took a shower 3 days ago. Don't leave me alone. Like,
ew. Oh my God.
Like, you stink, sir. I stink of freedom. You leave me alone. America. All right.
But I don't know. People need to get over this illusion of freedom that you thought you had before.
I'm like, it's just keeping people safe, and it's not just thinking. It's no longer thinking about yourself, and I think some people don't understand. It's not no longer thinking about yourself. It's teaching you to not be selfish anymore. It's teaching you to be selfless.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you know, do I want to wear a mask to a store? No, I don't.
No.
But I do.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the perfect example of somebody freaking out. I walked to the next town over to their post office. It was a 1.5 mile walk. And didn't have a mask on. I walked without the mask because I was nowhere near anybody else. I'm walking on the streets. I mean, on the sidewalks. There was nobody in front of me. So I'm walking there. I get there and I'm having an asthma attack in the actual park in the post office. I still had a mask on. I'm like, I'm not going to expose anybody else. I'm going to go find a space to get my inhaler. I'm going to try to get out of there as quickly as possible to use my inhaler, but I'm not going to expose anybody else.
Right.
Because I don't know what's going on with me to do that. You know, so, you know, but people look at you strange because you're wearing a mask. And, you know, you're willing to wear that mask. You're willing to wear it to, you know, wherever you're going, regardless of what's going on. You know, and they look at you strange. Like now, like people look at you strange. Like I was reaching at my mask trying to like get some air in because, you know, when you put a mask on, when you're already hot and you're breathing heavy, you're just inhaling your own, you know, breath. CO2.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get like a little bit of air in so I can get out of the post office and people looking at you strange. So it's like, because they're like, why are you taking off your mask? But it's not necessarily I'm taking off my mask. I'm trying to get out of here. I'm trying not to expose you to them.
Trying not to die. Okay? How about that? Trying not to die.
But I can get like those situations, but I can't get when people are like, I just don't want to wear it because I just don't want to wear it.
Like, okay, bro, you go right ahead. Knock yourself out.
But
I have a beard. I shouldn't have to shave. I don't want to wear a mask.
Hey, look, I shaved. Like, I shaved. Like, it's growing back now, but like, I shaved. Like, look, any way to reduce the risk of things getting passed on and stuff, we all have to do some semblance of our part, actually.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things that just seem ridiculous, but it is what it is right now.
Exactly.
You know, we keep talking about, you know, this is the new normal. This is what it is. You know, I mean, like, even with me, who still goes to the park to go work out and exercise, I'm still making sure I'm keeping my distance from other people. I'm still wearing a mask. You know, I mean, honestly speaking, I'm kind of having fun with it because, like, it's really about
the closest you can be to ninja right now.
Basically,
I bought a lot of cute masks to like match outfits and stuff.
Like,
waiting for them to come in.
This is what we're at right now. We got to buy masks to match our outfits. Like, I'm about to like tomorrow, I'm gonna order some more. I'm gonna order a couple more masks and stuff because I want to get some mask head wrap, you know, African print combos. I need to change it up. I need different styles here.
Well, I have to say this is the first time I had never been carded at a liquor store before.
There we go.
They don't care.
Because at this point, how do you know it's me? I show you my ID. You still don't know it's me. I'm wearing a mask.
Right. They just gotta take your word for it now.
Yeah. But Harold actually said it's a sad day indeed. We can't get it on ride. We can't even get on rides. The next generation will never know the social enjoyment of that kind of fun. I don't know about you. I mean, I don't know about you, but I get social anxiety when I'm around too many people. When I'm in groups of like that many people, and it's like packed to the point where I'm like kind of just like snaking through people, I get uncomfortable.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I can deal, but I would rather not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I can deal.
Yeah, it's like I get anxiety and I want to leave and I want to get out because it's too many people. It's too much going on. I can't focus on one thing. And I kind of wanted to stand in a corner, and try to find myself. And when you're in like a big, like Dorney Park is a very good example of it because there's so many people around. There's so much going on. There's so many people, and then people, like I said, they will stand up on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Or line skippers, which are my absolute pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
That are hopping past you or jumping.
Jumping off topic quickly and then we'll go back to it. I would love to see Comic-Con less crowded.
Well, you might see Comic-Con online at this point. But that's another topic.
Exactly. But I'm just thinking when you're talking about like, snaking through the people, I was just thinking about Comic-Con last year. And I'm like, it seemed a lot more crowded than it was in previous years. And we
as time went on, I'm thinking in the past 10 years or so, I remember the first time I went to Comic-Con on a Thursday versus the last time I went to Comic-Con on a Thursday. There was a big difference.
I would definitely say last year Saturday was super crowded, like for
bananas.
It was like extremely crowded. Sunday was a little bit better, but that Saturday last year was super crowded.
Yeah, but with that, like that's probably next week's conversation on that one. But it's like,
bottom line, I would welcome less of a crowd.
Yeah, I would definitely at the same time. It's like if you can tell me that they're going to allow less people in, and I can get more enjoyment out of it, and with Six Flags in order for you to convince me, the Great Adventure, at least for you to come out there and convince me to come out there, you're going to have to come up with something amazing for me to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
The frustrating thing would be getting a reservation.
Yeah.
Hell, I can't even get groceries delivered. I've been trying for 2 months.
I actually did, and I actually got lucky. I got a next day appointment. I actually did, but
what kind of world is this?
But
gotta have an appointment for groceries. What is going on?
Look, I got my groceries delivered at 10 o'clock at night, and I did not complain, and not one bit. But yeah, I would totally approve of this at this point. If I can just go to if I go to Dorney Park, if I plan to go to Disney, and I make my reservations, it's a year and a half out, and if I can get that reservation, I can say, what, I reserve my ticket for this block of time, for this length of the trip. The only thing I would be concerned about is that for people, kind of going out there, is getting a block of time for each day that you're there, because you want to be in a park, and the benefit of having like a hopper pass is that you can go from like, Magic Kingdom to Epcot to Hollywood Studios in a day. You won't be able to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be a lot of the drawbacks to doing the reservation process, because people are now going to be stuck to one park per day.
That wouldn't bother me, because if I were going to go to Disney, I probably would do one park a day.
No, that was the best. I think that was the best. And I don't have my friend Deanna with me to kind of go on with it. But when me and my friend went, it was kind of fun to be like, you know what? We went to, this is before Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge were built. So we went to Hollywood Studios in the morning. Then we hopped over from there to Epcot, from there to Magic Kingdom. Cause we were riding the tram, because I really made her like ride the tram, because we were staying on Universal property at the time, so we actually had to take an actual shuttle to get to Disney, and we were dropped off early in the morning in Animal Kingdom. We got dropped off like an hour before opening for Animal Kingdom, so we can do the rope drop for Animal Kingdom. We got done there. We went to another park. I think that was the draw for me, was that I was able to kind of, whenever I was ready to leave that park, I can get up and go.
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to do everything, or I couldn't do everything. I'm like, because there was a lot of rides I didn't get on because the lines were just too long. I think that might be a draw for me to stay a little bit longer, but because I've also been to Disney and I've been on the other rides, I may not want to get on those rides. I may only want to go to that park for maybe 2 or 3 rides. I may not want to get on the other ones because I didn't like them as much. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be a lot of what's going to, hold a lot of people back from going. Because if you're not going to bring in new content and new things, people are going to stop wanting to kind of spend that extra kind of money to go.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, like with everything else going on right now, is sort of a waiting game to see how new things get implemented in as far as like keeping people safe and keeping people healthy, and how it will eventually continue to evolve as time goes on. Because at this point right now, this thing is going to go well until the end of the year. Like. That's the way.
I mean, Disney's not even opening. Disney Orlando's not even opening until maybe January. They said.
Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and that might change. That might totally change. Depending on how it looks for. If Shanghai works in the next couple of months, they may actually project that a little bit earlier, which is fine. Especially because Florida's open, so that's fine. But like I said, it's a bigger park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the largest park that they have, so you're not just looking at their main parks. They also have water parks, and they're kind of gonna want to get revenue off of all of it. Because I believe how many parks? I think it's 6, 7 in all. I'd have to look them all up. I think it's like 7 that you have to kind of account for, and then you're talking about the hotels that they have.
Mm-hmm.
They're losing a lot of revenue on a lot of that stuff. So,
and then people who are coming from all over the world,
to
visit.
6 parks. I was off by 1. 6 parks. So yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna be left out. And you're gonna have a lot of residents that are gonna be taking precedence because they can just go. They can pick up and go.
Yeah.
And, especially with Disney, I wonder how their cruise lines are going to actually handle this as well, because their cruise lines are being affected by this too.
Well, apparently Carnival cruises are selling out because they're resuming service in August.
Well, I hate that.
Guys, in the family, we joked about it because Norwegian we were already planning to try to do like a cruise this year, but of course none of that's happening now. So Norwegian called me and they're like, "Hey, just so you know, you could still go on vacation." And then I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're still gonna you should still have something to look forward to. You should still reserve like a cruise." And I'm like, do I get an automatic, can I just reserve a day and then you're giving me the other 13 for free because I have to be in quarantine? How is that working? And then she was like, just think about doing a reservation. I'm like, okay.
I'll give this credit for one thing, is that if you are a decent cruiser, you're going to come prepared. Like the last cruise I came with, wipes, I came with Clorox wipes, I came with disinfectants. The first day I walked into my room, I wiped down everything. Every single surface. I mean, even stuff you didn't even think about wiping down, I wiped down. And that's just because, for me, knowing their turnaround's pretty fast, unless a bunch of people got sick on the cruise. When people get sick, there's a different type of turnaround because they have to sanitize the entire ship.
Right.
And I think it's going to have to happen more so between those. But that's what I'm saying. Disney cruise lines, they're kind of on that aesthetic. Most people, they may go on a Disney cruise and they may actually go to Disney World at the same time or vice versa. So, they got to go hand in hand. So I'm wondering how they're going to actually fare with this because, people are afraid to do that as well. So we'll see.
They ain't that afraid.
I mean, I'm not afraid of cruising at this point. I mean, knock on wood, wherever it is, as many as times I've seen norovirus, coming out of a ship or anything like that, I haven't caught it. And if anybody doesn't know, it's just basically a stomach bug. That's all it is. It's a stomach bug. And I haven't caught it. And, I think for me, cruising is probably the safer way to go than me to travel to an actual amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird. And I know you're kind of more spread out on a cruise, but I feel like I feel better getting on a plane than a cruise for some reason. I don't know why.
A lot of people do. A lot of people feel as you're more enclosed on a cruise ship, and because you can't get off. At least in a couple of hours, you can get off a plane. On a cruise ship, you can probably be stuck on for 2 days before you can actually kind of step off the ship.
Oh.
So I get it. Like in places and the reason I brought it up is because Royal Caribbean, for instance, has an actual water park in the Bahamas. I believe they have the tallest water slide now, from what I understand. So you have a place like that could be suffering. I mean, I think they just built it at this point. I don't think it's like a year old at this point. And, you're kind of have those water parks like that. They're kind of hurting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People out there in the Caribbean are also hurting because they're, based on tourism. A lot of these places only get their money when tourists come up. So I'm sitting there looking like, that could be a real big drawback because, a cruise out of New Jersey, 9 times out of 10 is going to stop in Bahamas.
Yeah.
Florida and Bahamas are going to be your two main places because they're the closest places you can get in 2 days. So, I'm wondering how they're going to go about opening their water park when they do actually go back into service. It'll be interesting to see all this, and like I said, Disney cruise lines have water rides on their rides as well. I mean, a lot of their ships as well. So how are you going to sanitize those? So a lot of things, it's a lot of questions I have, as far as amusement is concerned and what's going on and where we're going to actually be going with amusements, because it doesn't just extend to land rides. You have the ones that are actually on ships.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
And like I said, destinations that you're going to, like Atlantis, you're going to be doing a lot of those destinations. So I would love to see how a lot of these water parks and all that things are going to happen. But like I said, I looked up a couple places. IAAPA, for instance, which is the global attractions industry. They gave me recommendations as well as far as what they should do, and most of them are kind of the same thing. It's just basically allowing for healthy people to enjoy their facilities. That's their bottom line. That's what they really want people to do. And when they reopen, they want to be able to ensure that that's what's going to happen for all theme parks. So, and they're basically going to just manage the density of people, isolation, protecting the employees, which is a very big thing. People forget about that because they have to, it's not just you and I going into the park. The employees are people too.
Right.
And they're interacting with more people than you are.
Exactly. So it's a good thing that they kind of mention that as well. And, and having a plan, which Tani was basically talking about before, having a plan when people fall ill in their parks. What do you do?
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of that has to be thought through before we really start looking at going back to the parks. But, if you're gung-ho and you're brave, more power to you. I'm going to live vicariously through you.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm definitely want to go, but I'm curious. I'm curious to see how this would go.
There's a lot of YouTubers out there that are willing to do it for me. I mean, you know what? I will sit down and watch from afar, and I will watch from my couch as you go over there, and I will wait 2 weeks to see what happens from there. Personally. But what do you guys think? Is there any thoughts, anything else that you think that the theme parks are missing that they haven't touched upon, or?
I was like we said before, I'm just concerned about emergency situations.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hesitate to get a barrier if someone's literally unconscious in front of you.
Yeah.
you're just gonna have to go in.
Yeah.
Hope
And
for the best.
how do you protect an employee at that point? Like, do you now put, first aid systems on every single, you're gonna have to probably implement more first aid systems on a regular basis? Do you close off your,
or make sure they have them on them, carry
yeah.
certain things on them,
Yeah.
on their person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's gonna be there's a lot of things that they're gonna have to consider, and a lot of that's gonna have to come with, from the high. It's gonna have to come from the higher ups also, because a lot of us are still following. I mean, going under the guidance of our state officials, like Governor like Murphy. I know New York is dealing with Cuomo and stuff, and I don't know. It's like, because all these businesses do have the right to do what they want, so to speak, they still kind of got to follow certain guidelines and policies and procedures and stuff. So,
well, it's going to be a mandate, just like you have fire codes, and that's why, just like you have fire codes and things like that. There's probably going to be some sort of health code.
Yeah. So, I mean, it like I feel like it would almost. I mean, probably not the whole summer for them to figure a lot of these things out, figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work, but it's going to be a good amount of it. So, and it's all predicated on how soon do they want to open up these things or even test these things out. Like, I think because we didn't get a handle on the situation as soon as it hit. That left a lot of us, especially a lot of businesses, in hot water, basically. Yeah. Like, certain businesses, I mean, they were able to do what they needed to do, like small businesses and stuff like that. They were able to, like, shut down, or able to shut down and figure out an alternate means of collecting revenue and things like that. But we're talking about places that have, like, thousands and thousands of people that come through, so it's and I mean just even thinking about the employees having to work these places is like, how are they going to make their money also? I mean, unemployment is only going to last but for so long.
Really. And even then, are you going to pay them more for doing this? Because at this point,
exactly,
a lot of these people are teenagers that are working at these amusement parks. You have to understand that as well. It's not going to be many adults doing these jobs. So,
or do they even feel like hiring more people? That's the other thing too, because if they're gonna try to implement these things where it's like you have to have a reservation to come, that might give them cause to not hire more people. They'll probably let go of some more people.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're working, my thing is, if you're operating at half capacity or less per day, how much revenue are you losing, and how can your business be sustainable?
Right.
Now, like I said, my solution would be that the higher ups would have to be willing to take like a pay cut. And a lot of higher ups are probably not going to be willing to do that.
Right.
No.
So, like, a lot of these businesses would rather close.
Yeah.
Than do that.
But as far as like the amusement system is concerned, like, that's, we already know that's not going to be a possibility, that they're not going to do that. So you're talking about half of the capacity of these people. You're not going to require half of the people to come back. But like I said, you're talking about teenagers at this point. You're talking about minimum wage workers. How many people are going to allow their kids to go out and work in these conditions?
That's true also.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that. That's also true.
So, and it's not a job where, as an adult, I'm not going to go work there. It's not paying me enough.
Yeah, and you
work at a supermarket is one thing, but to go work at a theme park, it's like it doesn't really make much sense to sit there. Like, maybe if it's like a certified ride operator that they're like, okay, this is my job, this is what I do. But if it's just like
an engineer,
like if you're spending 2 days to train of like, push the button when you see the ride get here and then turn it back off when it gets over here, like, is it really worth it to deal with some entitled person who's like, I took off my mask because I don't want to wear it on this ride? Right as they walk past you, like, nothing's stopping anybody from keeping a mask on.
Right.
Exactly.
throughout the whole.
And we're already seeing where people are even getting shot just because somebody told them to put their mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna happen at a theme park because of the metal detectors. At least the ones here.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
people getting
violent.
attacked.
Yeah, people getting violent. Yeah, and because it's a sore topic. A lot of people just don't want to wear it. A lot of people do not believe this thing exists.
Yeah.
That's bottom line. A lot of people don't believe that it's a thing, and they don't believe it exists because they don't know anybody who was affected, and or they personally don't know anybody who has gotten it. And it could be the case. I'm like, you could legitimately be immune to it. And are people.
That's the epitome of entitlement right there.
Because it didn't happen to me, it's not real.
Yeah, exactly. So there's going to be those bottom line people, and there's going to be people that are going to think that this is not real. This is going to be people that are going to go to the actual parks. They're going to take off their masks. They're going to do anything. Like I said, at this point, if I had a teenager, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Even if they were very responsible and they took all the precautions, I would still be considerably worried about my teenager if they were working at a job like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are going to be people that are going to work, and there's some people that need the money, and and that's going to be the case. But I would feel so bad, going knowing that there's the possibility they're going to be exposed to that. Like, granted, they're most of them are in open air situations, which is still better. But people that are like, imagine people that are actually going in your face and pushing down the thing to make sure you're strapped in.
Yeah.
Most of those people are in your face, like they legitimately like, and they're like right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you keep those people safe? So it's definitely it's definitely going to be a sore spot for a while for a lot of people, and but yeah, I think for me, I think that's going to be a lot of it. It's more so, how do you protect your employees? How do you protect the people that are going? How do you protect them, from other people?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the actual disease, but from the people that they're actually dealing with. Anybody have anything else to say, or any last words, or anything else that we didn't talk about, or?
As far as the way how I think that they can make it work is, instead of letting everybody have like free reign through the theme park, it should just operate in blocks, really. And so it's like Six Flags, the way how their map is, like they'll have like maybe the first group of like say 50 people or so, they go off to the left side first, and then it's like a tour, like you have to hit all those stops, so then that way you're doing everything in the park on your one reserved day, to avoid them being like, I want another reservation for Wednesday because I didn't manage to do everything on Monday. Like, are they going to stop people from like repeating and buying too many because they're like, I want to go every day, but they're not giving the opportunity to anybody else? So if it's like guided tours through the park, that might limit contamination zone, because everybody in that group is just going in that path, and then they could just kind of like have that one trade-off area where the rides are then getting cleaned before the next wave goes through. So the time blocks might make more sense, but it's more like you're definitely making it an all-day thing.
But the thing is that the thing about that, and I can just see it again, well, I don't want to go on this ride. I don't want to go here. I paid my money. I want to go over there.
They set it up before people buy the tickets, then hopefully that should stop them. But that's one of those things that they need to set that up as a rule before people get to the park, so that way they know what they're getting into. Because the second somebody says, I didn't know I needed to wear a mask, because if it's not on the website when they buy the ticket, but it's there at the gate, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
So,
What about,
You've been wearing a mask everywhere for the past 2 months. Really?
but what about somebody like you who already has a season pass?
no, for me, I'm just like, okay, I have a season pass. They sent me like 3 emails being like, we're going to upgrade you to platinum membership. We're going to add on however many months we're closed to the end of your membership, and like bonus discount and stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. You're telling me everything that you're going to do for right now, but as far as safety measures, when I'm able to do my reservation, then it'll just be like, okay, I'm allowed to go, but I'm going to make sure I'm going to make the most out of that one day, rather than being like, I'm going to come back and then further increase my risk. But like, I would, me personally, if I were to go, because anyway, I always end up trying to choose like the date that's like
The least popular.
Like 30% chance of rain. It's like overcast and cloudy. Like nobody's gonna really be there anyway. It's like a Tuesday, like out of nowhere, the middle of the month. Like I wouldn't want to go on one of those days that it's already limited that somebody would go, and then I'm still gonna go on a cooler weather day that I'm wearing long sleeves. Like skin exposure is gonna be limited. Like I always have like safety stuff on me, so sanitizer is gonna be with me. Like it'll be in my car, so I'm like still sanitizing as I go through, because it's like what 15 minutes interaction time for it to like kind of get on you. The ride longs are really like, if the lines for rides are really that short because it's limited people, then it's like, okay, I go ahead, I go on King the Cost, ride lasts like 30 seconds, get off of it, sanitize, be off of everything, walk around, go to the bathroom, actually wash your hands, move to the next ride. Like if people follow like a certain standpoint to limit skin exposure also, rather than going over there with like booty shorts on and then just sitting down and farting all over the place. It's like, I'm wearing jeans, I'm wearing long sleeves, like I'm wearing like a hoodie, I'm wearing like something to make sure that my skin isn't exposed to some random person who doesn't like covering their mouth, because I'm going to go on a cooler day. If it's 90 something degrees, I'm not going.
But the reason why I asked you as a season pass holder, because from what I understand, in order for it to pay for itself, you have to at least go 2 times in order for it to pay for itself. So is it really even worth it to have a season pass at this point? If you know that you have to now have a reservation, that you now have to like, and this probably goes for like even Disney or anything like that. Like if you have a season pass to go to that place, is it even worth it now to even have one if you know you're going to have to keep a reservation and it's a possibility you may not get one?
Yeah, especially if it's going to say that you still have to renew it to go when there's all these months that you weren't able to. I have the monthly one, so it's like every month I was paying them anyway. So they're just going to keep tacking on time at the end. So it's not like I'm only limited to 2020. Like it's already going into 2021. If it keeps going, then it's going to go into 2022. But it should just still be a point that I'm like, hey, I paid you for a whole year and I was never able to go. So I'm going to cancel it, stop charging me, but I should still have a whole year that I could go.
Right.
So they're just gonna put like a standpoint of like, when do you stop charging people, but still make sure that their membership stays active. Rather than just like you stop charging and then they cancel it and then you've lost all that time that you paid for something that you couldn't even go to.
Yeah, that's interesting. And being like, especially for the people that are listening, if you do have a season pass to any of these places, to any place, doesn't matter what theme park it is. If your theme park is closed right now, what are they doing to actually compensate you for that? And if they're going to be opening a reservation service, do you think you're going to be able to keep that actual reservation? Or to actually keep your season pass if you have to keep reserving anyway, you think it's worth it? Let us know, Facebook, if you're listening on YouTube or Discord, just let us know. And see what your opinion is on that.
Alrighty.
Harold, what are you talking about?
What did he say?
He's talking along with us, and we missed the comments. That's fine. That's what's going on.
I just look back at YouTube. I'm like, what? Okay. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, but yeah, it's anybody else? Any other comments or concerns?
No, with everything for the past 2 months, we just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I wish you could fast forward a year from now to see how life is, because I'm real curious.
Somebody come from the future, let us know.
Lottery numbers.
It's just going to be very interesting to see how everything just continues to play out for the rest of the year. Once winter rolls back around, I think people are just going to want to be inside anyway because it's going to be cold outside, depending on what it's like outside. But now that
if it's anything, if it's anything like this summer is right. I mean, it's spring is right now. I don't know. It might be like 90 degrees in December at this point.
Well, at that point, shoot, man. Yeah, because I don't know what's going on with this weather. It's supposed to be like 80, like 3 degrees tomorrow. Like it's supposed to just shoot up.
Oh, I got 80. I got 87.
Yeah, and then it was like 50 2 days ago, and then it was like 40. Come on now. It's like we had snow. It was snowing this week.
Yeah,
on Monday. It was snowing. Yeah, and Friday, 87. That's Jersey for you guys.
So, I don't know. Again, there's certain things that we already covered that we just know is gonna. I mean, they're gonna be able to survive, but something like this, something like amusement parks, is just gonna be interesting to see how they adapt to the new normal right now.
And if any of them come back, because
Yeah.
a lot of them,
some attractions are gonna close.
Yeah.
Yes, I think a lot of theme parks are gonna get hit hard, and they're just not gonna be able to recover. And
Yeah.
you know, so it's gonna be interesting to watch and see what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So all we can do now is just watch and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
But
So on that note,
yeah, I was going to say, yeah. On that note, it means it's been a good conversation, guys. Another one.
Yeah, this was a good one.
conversation.
So yeah, that's about it. That wraps up this episode of Council of the Blurs. Hopefully you guys were informed on some of the things that happen with the amusement parks right now. If you guys were planning on going this summer, do your research, figure out what they plan to do, maybe wait it out, see what they're gonna do, and just go from there. Plan accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank everyone for joining me today. All the lovely ladies that joined me for today's Geekcast. Thanks for Harold for tuning in, even though he was in the comment section for a minute. Thanks to everyone else who watched and said something, even if you didn't say much.
We still appreciate y'all. It doesn't matter if you still appreciate you all. You know.
Definitely, the same thing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would really help the numbers up. Follow us on our Facebook fan page. You can follow us on Discord, where the conversation can still keep going. Follow us on Instagram. Everything is always in the description box below, so there's no reason why you can't find us. We will let you guys know what the topic of discussion is going to be for next week's show, so be ready for that. And also, the audio will be up. It'll probably be up by tomorrow. More than anything, I've been getting these things out quicker than usual, so look for the audio up on your podcast streaming services, Stitcher, iTunes, whatever else is into the little graphic that we have here. I can't remember them right now. Mm-hmm. But we'll catch you guys next week, and as always, the council. Okay, why am I the only one? What is going on?
Because you started.
Because you're supposed to start it, and we're supposed to finish it. Okay.
I told you I told you this in choir practice the last time, Kendrick. Come on now, get it together. We've been having this conversation. You started, we finished.
All right, and as always,
the council has spoken.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
I thought you were going to say the council, and then you say as spoken.
Has spoken.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
We're gonna get this right. Okay.
We've gone through this.
You know what's gonna be? This is gonna be the running joke for the rest of the time that we actually do this show. At this
probably
point,
think this is our closing.
At this point, I think we should just mess it up every single time we do it now. Just make it consistent.
Might as well. Again, as always, the council
has spoken.
We will catch you guys next week.
The council has spoken. End transmission. You were watching Council of the Blurs, a Geekcast. The council has spoken.